Every Silverado forum on the internet has the same argument playing out on repeat. Someone asks what upgrades to buy first, and within 20 minutes, there are 40 different opinions, half of them pushing products that do absolutely nothing for the truck. The problem is not that Silverado owners do not want to upgrade. The problem is that the aftermarket industry has figured out that truck owners will spend money on anything that sounds like it adds horsepower. And some of the most popular upgrades on the market are a complete waste of cash. So here are 4 upgrades that are not worth your money, and 5 that actually earn their place on the truck. We are starting with the worst. Number 4 on the avoid list. Aftermarket cold air intake kits. This is probably the most controversial one on this list, and it should not be. Go to any Silverado forum and search for cold air intake threads. You will find hundreds of owners who spent $250 to $400 on a kit from a well-known brand, installed it, drove around for a week, and came back to report the same thing. No measurable difference in horsepower. No improvement in fuel economy. The only thing they noticed was more intake noise when they stepped on the gas. Here is why. The factory intake on a Silverado already pulls air from outside the engine compartment through the fender well. That air is cooler and denser than anything sitting near the engine block. When you install an aftermarket kit with an exposed cone filter sitting right next to the exhaust manifold, you are technically pulling warmer air into the engine. The marketing calls it a cold air intake. The physics say otherwise. GM spent millions engineering the factory airbox. If they could have squeezed another 5 horsepower out of a different intake design, they would have done it at the factory. On a completely stock Silverado with no other modifications, a cold air intake is $300 for a louder engine and nothing else. Save that money for something that actually changes how the truck drives. Number 3 on the avoid list. Cheap leveling kits without supporting components. The stock Silverado sits with a factory rake, meaning the front end is lower than the rear. Chevy does this intentionally so the truck sits level when you load the bed or hook up a trailer. A leveling kit raises the front to match the rear, and the look is undeniably better. The problem is not the concept. The problem is the execution. A $60 spacer kit from an online retailer changes the angle of your tie rods, puts extra stress on your CV joints if you run 4-wheel drive, and forces your factory shocks to operate outside their designed range. Within a few thousand miles, owners start reporting uneven tire wear, a rougher ride, and steering that pulls to one side. The factory shocks were not built to handle the additional travel. The upper control arms were not designed for the new ball joint angle. And if you skip the alignment after install, which plenty of owners do, you are chewing through tires twice as fast as you should be. If you want the leveled look, do it properly. Quality adjustable shocks like the Bilstein 5100 series, aftermarket upper control arms if you are going above 2 inches, and a professional alignment immediately after install. A $50 spacer that creates $500 in problems is not an upgrade. It is a down payment on a repair bill. Number 2 on the avoid list. LED bulb swaps in factory halogen housings. This one is everywhere. Drop in LED bulbs that promise brighter light for $50. Sounds like an easy win. It is not. Halogen headlight housings use a reflector bowl designed around the specific position of a halogen filament. The filament sits in one precise spot, and the reflector directs that light into a controlled beam pattern that illuminates the road without blinding oncoming traffic. LED chips do not sit in the same position as a halogen filament. When you drop an LED bulb into a halogen housing, the light scatters in every direction except where it is supposed to go. The result is a truck that looks brighter from the outside but actually delivers worse road illumination for the driver. Meanwhile, every car coming toward you is getting blasted with unfocused light directly in their eyes. If you want better headlights, the correct path is a full LED headlight assembly designed with the proper optics for LED chips. Yes, it costs more. But dropping LED bulbs into halogen housings makes your truck less safe for you and everyone else on the road. Number 1 on the avoid list. Fake performance badges and stick-on accessories. This one is simple. Adhesive Z71 badges on a truck that never came with the Z71 package. Faux carbon fiber dashboard trim from a $10 kit. Fake hood scoops that serve zero functional purpose. Chrome stick-on fender vents that do not vent anything. Every single one of these accessories tells the next buyer, or the dealership doing your trade-in appraisal, that this truck was owned by someone who prioritized appearance over substance. The adhesive residue alone can damage paint when removed. The faux carbon fiber peels and fades within a year. And nobody with any truck knowledge is fooled by a badge that was not there from the factory. If you want your Silverado to look better, keep it clean, protect the paint, and invest in upgrades that actually do something. Badges that lie about what is under the hood are the automotive equivalent of putting a designer label on a plain white shirt. Now for the upgrades that actually earn their spot. Number 5. An oil catch can. GM's direct injection engines recirculate crankcase vapors back through the intake system. That vapor carries oil mist, moisture, and combustion byproducts. Over time, all of that coats the intake valves with carbon deposits. On a port-injected engine, fuel spray would wash those deposits away. Direct injection does not spray fuel across the valves, so the carbon just accumulates. A catch can intercepts that oily vapor before it reaches the intake. The can traps the oil and moisture while letting clean air pass through. Brands like J and L make plug-and-play kits specifically for the Silverado that install in under 15 minutes with no cutting or splicing. You drain the can every 5,000 miles during your oil change, and the amount of dark, oily sludge you find in there will convince you this was money well spent. For a truck with the 5.3 or 6.2-liter engine, a catch can is less of a modification and more of a maintenance item that GM should have included from the factory. Quick thing before we get to the rest of the list. The data on this channel shows that over 80% of you watching right now are not subscribed. That means you are showing up for the content, but the algorithm has no reason to show you the next video. If you have made it this far, you clearly care about getting the most out of your Silverado. Hit subscribe so you do not miss the next one. Number 4. An AFM or DFM disabler. Active Fuel Management is GM's cylinder deactivation system. Under light load conditions, the engine shuts down 4 of its 8 cylinders to save fuel. The idea makes sense on paper. In practice, it has created one of the most talked about reliability problems in the Silverado community. The AFM system uses specialized lifters that collapse and re-engage every time the engine switches between 4 and 8 cylinder mode. That constant cycling puts mechanical stress on the lifters, and when one fails, you get lifter tick, misfires, and eventually a repair bill that can run $3,000 or more depending on how much damage has spread. A plug-in AFM disabler connects to the OBD2 diagnostic port under the dash and keeps the engine running on all 8 cylinders all the time. It requires no tools, no ECU reprogramming, and no permanent changes to the truck. If you ever need to remove it for a dealer visit or emissions test, you just unplug it. The trade-off is a slight decrease in highway fuel economy, usually 1 to 2 miles per gallon. For owners who plan to keep their truck past 100,000 miles, that is a small price to pay for significantly lower lifter failure risk. Forum members running disablers report smoother throttle response, no more shudder during cylinder transitions, and engines that feel more predictable in every driving situation. Number 3. Custom fit all-weather floor mats. This sounds boring next to engine modifications and suspension upgrades. It is also one of the smartest investments you can make on a truck you plan to keep or eventually sell. Factory carpet floor mats absorb everything: mud, water, salt, spilled coffee. Once that moisture gets trapped in the carpet, it stays there. Over time, it creates odor, staining, and the kind of interior wear that dealerships notice immediately during a trade-in appraisal. Deep channel rubber floor mats with a custom laser-measured fit sit perfectly in the footwell, trap everything in their channels, and clean up in minutes with a garden hose. No shifting, no gaps where debris slides underneath. For a truck that gets used as a truck, this upgrade pays for itself in preserved resale value alone. Number 2. Bilstein 5100 series shocks. The factory shocks on most Silverado trim levels are adequate. They are not good. If you have driven your truck for 20,000 miles or more, you have probably noticed the ride getting looser, the body roll increasing, and the overall feel getting vague and disconnected. The Bilstein 5100 is a direct bolt-on monotube shock that transforms how the truck handles. Monotube design dissipates heat more efficiently than the factory twin-tube shocks, which means consistent performance whether you are driving across town or hauling a trailer for hours. The adjustable ride height settings let you achieve a mild level up to about 2.5 inches in the front, without the suspension geometry problems that come with a separate leveling kit. The ride immediately feels tighter and more controlled. Body roll through corners decreases noticeably. The truck stops bobbing over bumps and starts absorbing them. For a direct replacement shock that requires no additional modifications, the Bilstein 5100 is arguably the single best ride quality upgrade available for the Silverado platform. Number 1. A custom ECU tune. This is the upgrade that changes everything, and it is the one that the largest number of Silverado owners overlook. A custom tune from a reputable tuner adjusts the engine's fuel mapping, ignition timing, and transmission shift points to match how you actually drive the truck rather than the one-size-fits-all calibration GM ships from the factory. The biggest immediate difference is in the transmission. GM's factory calibration on both the 6-speed and 8-speed automatic tends toward lazy, hunting shifts that search for the tallest gear as quickly as possible to optimize fuel economy numbers on the EPA test. A tune tightens those shift points, reduces the delay between throttle input and downshift, and eliminates the hesitation that makes the truck feel sluggish off the line. Beyond transmission behavior, a good tune disables AFM through software, optimizes fueling for the octane you actually run, and cleans up the throttle response across the entire RPM range. The truck feels like a completely different vehicle. The one caveat is that a tune will typically void your powertrain warranty. For trucks still under factory coverage, a simple AFM disabler from entry number 4 on this list is the safer first step. For trucks that have passed their warranty period, a custom tune is the single most transformative modification you can make. Every upgrade on the best list shares one thing in common. They solve a real problem or protect against a known failure point. A catch can keep your valves clean. An AFM disabler protects your lifters. Floor mats preserve your interior. Shocks fix the ride. And a tune makes the truck drive the way it should have from the factory. Skip the cold air intakes, the cheap leveling kits, the LED bulb swaps, and the fake badges. Spend that money where it actually counts, and your Silverado will reward you for it. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing, and we will see you in the next one.